everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting my beach reading vlog. So we got in town yesterday and I started Kristen Cicerelli's Edgewood. So Kristen is the author of the Crimson Moth or the Heartless Hunter, whatever country you live in. It's a different title that I just recently read in my fantasy for a week vlog that I loved, 5 stars. So I went and looked at her backlog and found Edgewood on Kindle Unlimited. So that was a book I immediately added to my library. I've started reading and I'm actually almost done with it. I read it a little bit in the car yesterday and some last night, a little bit this morning. And basically it's about this girl who wants to be a singer. She's trying to make a career, and it starts off with her doing a gig and describing how, like, as she sings, like, the world tends to, like, grow around her. Like, moss starts to grow and this, like, weird nature things happen. And as the story progresses, you find out that she's from this place called Edgewood, which is this, like, mythical forest that she doesn't really believe in any of the myths surrounding it, and like the Wood King and everything that comes with it. Then she gets a call that her grandfather's missing from his nursing home, so she goes back to town to try to find him. And everyone's like, he was collected by the Wood King for a tithe, because it's basically like a tax that they have to pay to him, the people in that town. And there's like a marker that's always left whenever somebody's taken for the tithe. So that's what she finds on his bed when she goes to the nursing home, and nobody has searched the woods because everyone's too afraid to search the woods. So she's convinced that's where he is. So the story is really just like her going to find him and the people she meets along the way and secrets that are being uncovered the whole time. And I'm really enjoying it. Not as much as Heartless Hunter. It's not going to be a 5-star, but I'm really enjoying her writing style, and it's just so beautiful and like descriptive, and I can just imagine the world that's there. So very much enjoying that. We'll probably finish that today. I don't know what book I'm going to start next. I am just going to mood read this week. I have a few physical books that I brought, and I also put a lot on my Kindle. I will keep you guys updated with the next book once I finish this one. Hi everyone, it is now Tuesday, and yesterday I finished up Edgewood like in the evening, a little later than I wanted to, but I enjoyed it a lot. It was a 4-star read for me. I didn't love it as much as I loved Heartless Hunter, but I wasn't really expecting to because of how much I loved that book. But it was still really good. It still makes me want to read. There's another series Kristen Cicerelli has out that's like a 3-book series. I think it's done. It really makes me want to read that one. I will definitely be reading that, and I will be kind of going through these books a little bit more in detail when I get back and close out the vlog on Sunday. But I think I gave a little bit of an explanation of what the book was about yesterday, and I really liked how it ended. I really liked how the story unfolded, so we'll go with that for now. And then last night I started reading Happy Place by Emily Henry, and that book is about Harriet and Wynne. Most people know what this book's about. It's pretty popular, and they used to go to this place in Maine with their friends every year for like a decade. They're there now, but they were engaged and they actually have broken up, and they haven't told anyone, so now they're trying to pretend that they're still together because they don't want to ruin everybody's week. That's where I am. I think, again, like a lot of people know that story, so there's not going to be much to update there, but I will still give you my thoughts and feelings as the book continues on. Right now it's just frustrating because you can kind of tell that they still have feelings for each other, and that they both kind of wasn't ended the right way, and that maybe they didn't want to end it. So I think more is going to unravel. It's just frustrating right now with the two of them. So we'll see how that progresses, but I will update you all when I finish that book. Happy Wednesday. I finished Happy Place last night, and I did enjoy it, but I enjoyed it less as a romance and more of just like an understanding, like a coming of age book, but more of like a coming of age new adult book. So for people late 20s, early 30s, understanding that it's okay, that friend groups are going to change, and that your relationships with your friends are going to change, and if you put the effort in, you can still have it, but you can't expect it to stay the same. So that's what I took out of it more than the romance. The romance was sweet, but it also really, I think, was rooted in that theme. So I enjoyed it a lot. That was my first Emily Henry book, so I think my sister has the other one. I think she has Beach Read, People You Meet on Vacation, and Book Lovers. I think those are the other 3, and then she just bought Funny Story. So I may do a vlog where I read all 4 of those in 1 week. Let me know what you think about that. But anyway, I enjoyed it. And now I'm back to fantasy. I started The Veiled Kingdom last night by Holly Renee. And that is, I'm a little confused about what this is exactly about at this point. I'm like 50, 60 pages in. And it's on Kindle Unlimited, just so you know. But from what I've gathered, there's like 2 dueling kingdoms. And I think there's a rebellion. And then like the one kingdom who's fighting against the rebellion. And I'm not really sure which one's which at this point because I thought I had it. And then the last few pages I read, I'm wrong. So far we've got Nira, Ren, Dacre, I don't know how you say that name, D-A-C-R-E, who is Ren's brother, and then Kai, who is Dacre's friend. I thought they were the ones that were with the kingdom that the rebellion was fighting against, but I think they're part of the rebellion. I don't know. Anyway, Nira is like some long lost princess, and I can't figure out which kingdom she's from because it sounds like Ren and Dacre are from the kingdom that the king currently residing over the area that they live in, who collects like a tithe and whatever. I'm very confused. So once I figure that out, I will come back and try to explain it. I've heard very good things about this book and I'm liking it. It's definitely like, I think, gonna be an enemies to lovers romantasy. And I think I know who the couple's gonna be. I think. Hopefully the next 50 pages or so helps me figure that out. So I will update you guys either later today or tomorrow again with where I am in the book. Hey everyone, I can't remember the last update I did, where we were, but today is Thursday evening and I finished The Veiled Kingdom yesterday. I really enjoyed that book. I actually do want to buy it, even though I read it on Kindle Unlimited. So it was basically about, it gave like Powerless vibes to me. It was basically about a girl who was the daughter of the king that's like a tyrant ruling over this kingdom. And she escaped him and was living on the streets and then was found by the rebellion. And they took her in without really knowing who she was. And she started like train with them and everything. And there's like a romance with her and one of the guys that's like high up in the rebellion. And the whole time she's just like training with them, they're trying to find secrets out about the king, and they do know she like lived in the palace, but she hasn't told them that she was like the princess. And that's pretty much it. Not a lot happened if you think about it. It was really romance heavy, but I enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I cannot wait. I think the second book comes out in like June, so I don't have to wait too long. So I'm very excited for that. And then last night I started Deliver Me by Ashley Hawthorne. So that book is from my romance reveal box, and essentially it's about a pastor's daughter who, with their church, they start writing to convicts in prison that don't have like people in the outside world to contact them. So they do this as like a way to give these people attention and like a friend and all of that. And then she ends up falling for the prisoner and he for her, and essentially she's like now trying to get him out of prison so they can be together. That's it in a nutshell. So they're pen pals for most of it. So I had to like move because I'm trying not to wake anybody up. So basically like they fall for each other while he's in prison and she's trying to get him out so that they can have a life together. And that's pretty much the premise of the story. A little weird because she's like the pastor's daughter, but it's a sweet story so far. Nothing groundbreaking, but enjoyable enough. So I will update when I finish that and move on to my next book probably tomorrow. Hey everyone, it's now Saturday. I finished Deliver Me. Nothing really much more to say on that. It was pretty much how I described it in the last update. Again, I'll go over everything at the end of the vlog. And I started If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm very much enjoying that. It's basically about 7 students that go to this like theater school, and one of them ends up dead, and the story's just kind of unraveling in different like scenes and everything through their final year at the school. So I am enjoying it so far. There's a lot of Shakespeare references I don't get, but it's still an enjoyable, like, thriller type read. So when I finish that up, I will update. I may start one more book, I don't know. Depends on how quick I get through this today. We leave tomorrow morning, so if I do start a book, I probably won't finish until I get home, but I'll keep y'all updated. Hey everyone, so last update, because we're packing up the car now. I finished ML Rio's If We Were Villains earlier when I was on the beach. As you can tell, the sun finally came out today and my cheeks are now red. But I really enjoyed that book. For as much as I don't understand Shakespeare in those parts of it where they were quoting it and everything, I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed the story. I liked the characters. As flawed as they were, I felt like I still liked them, which I think is a feat in of itself to make people like flawed characters like that. So really enjoyed. I gave that like a 4-star. It was a good like dark academia thriller read, which I've kind of been in the mood for lately, so that was really enjoyable. And now moving on to Second Chance Vacation, I think it's called. I'll have to put the book up so that you can see the author because I can't remember right now. And it's another romance reveal box book. And it is, if I remember correctly, basically about these two friends. It's kind of like Happy Place, but kind of not. Like, the friends know that they're broken up, but they're bringing everyone on this trip to try to like manipulate them into getting back together. So they're going on this trip somewhere. I don't remember where it is, if they even said where it is on the back of the book. And two exes are coming, ex-fiancés are coming, and the friends are trying to manipulate them into getting back together. So that's all I remember from the back. I will probably update when I get home tomorrow, and then when I finish that book, I'll close out the vlog. As minimal footage as I got this week because of doing stuff on vacation. Thanks for sticking it out with me if you've made it this far, and I will close out and give final thoughts tomorrow. Hey everyone, I'm back. It is the next day. We got back from vacation like kind of late last night evening, but by the time like we ate dinner and I unpacked and everything, I just didn't feel like closing this out. So it is Monday and I go back to work tomorrow, so I am happy I took an extra day. Anyway, just a quick wrap up of everything I read last week. I started off the weekend with Edgewood by Kristen Cicerelli. This book is essentially about a girl named Emmeline who leaves her small town of Edgewood to go try to be a musician and sing and make a career out of it. And the book opens with her doing that at a club, and while she's singing, like, the earth is essentially growing around her. I don't really know how to describe it, but like moss and stuff is just like making its way up the stool she's sitting on. And I guess like she's like in her mind talking about how a tree sprouted at one event and everything. So for some reason, nature comes whenever she sings, very Disney princess like. So then after her set, she sees this like mysterious stranger in the crowd, and she doesn't know like who it is, but they feel familiar. But he leaves, and then you just kind of see how her life is at that point in time, where she is with her career, her management, all that kind of stuff. She gets a phone call that her grandfather has gone missing from his nursing home, so she has to rush back to Edgewood to find out what happened to him. And this whole time you're kind of learning the backstory of this town and the fact that they believe in this like wood king who collects tithes from the town, which is essentially people to come either serve him or just be prisoners for him in order to like pay him for keeping the town going. I'm not exactly sure why they were giving him tithes, but Emmeline thinks that her grandfather was taken for that purpose, but nobody will search the woods because everybody's afraid to search the woods. So the rest of the book is really just an adventure of her going back into the woods for the first time in years and discovering what's actually going on there. And there is a twist. I won't say what that is, but I really enjoy this book. I enjoy Kristen Cicerelli's writing so much. That's why I picked this book up, because I loved Heartless Hunter so much when I saw that she had this book, this standalone, which was on Kindle Unlimited, so I was able to read it for free. And she also has another like trilogy that I would like to read, but I have to purchase those, so that'll probably be later this year that I try to read those. But anyway, I love her writing. It's like beautiful, it's descriptive without being overly descriptive and tiring. And these worlds that she paints are just phenomenal. The characters she writes, I just adore them. So definitely another great book by her for me. It was a 4-star. It wasn't exactly Heartless Hunter, in my opinion. I liked those characters more. I liked the story, but it's also going to be a series, so it will be easier for me to develop a connection with those characters anyway. And the spice was about a 1.5. It wasn't crazy, but there was some. So the next book I read was my first Emily Henry book, and that was Happy Place. I borrowed that book from my sister, so I did physically read it, as you would have seen, I think, in a B-roll clip, but I gave it back to her at the end of the vacation because I didn't want to have to pack it. This book was not what I was expecting. I was expecting like a very romance-heavy book, but it was more, I think, I don't want to say coming of age, I think that's how I described it earlier, but it's just a book that really basically tells you it's okay as an adult to grow apart from your friends. That's what I took out from it. So this book follows Harriet and Wynne, who dated for years and years, and they met through their friend group at this house that they visit every year. And from there, they developed a relationship, and they'd been dating to the point where they were actually engaged. And then they broke up and didn't tell anybody. So they both get invited to this house, and because something that happens between two of their other friends, they don't want to ruin everybody's week by saying, like, we're actually not together anymore. So they pretend to date for the week. Obviously, it's a romance. We know what happens. They do end up admitting they still have feelings for each other and that they do want it to work out and all of that. But I do think the deeper point was the stuff that happened between the friend group and them coming to terms with, like, this couple's in this part of their life, this couple's in this part of their life, and this couple's in this part of their life, and they're not going to talk as frequently as they did anymore, but as long as they make an effort, they can still keep those friendships. That was the part that definitely resonated with me, because at the point I am in my life, that's what's happening to me. I have to understand that people that were my best friends and that I saw and talked to every day, they're not going to be that way anymore, but that doesn't mean that we can't still have some type of a relationship. I don't have children. The friends that I have that have children, it's a little bit harder to do stuff with because they want to bring their kids or can't find babysitters or all that kind of stuff. And it's accepting that it's okay for them to be like, we can't come, and they need to be okay with that. We need to be okay with that. It's that kind of a thing. I did really enjoy this book. It was a 4.25 for me, but it was less of the romance part that I enjoyed and more of the like underlying moral, I would guess you'd call it. There's spice in this too, but I only thought it was like a 2. Nothing too extreme. Then I read Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee, and I freaking adored this book. I did not think I'd like it as much as I did. I read this on Kindle Unlimited as well, and I've been trying to find the book, but Barnes & Noble sold out of it online, so I'd have to try to go to my store to see if they have it. None of the smaller like Targets and stuff don't have it, so I'll either have to order it from Amazon or find it at Barnes. But anyway, that's how much I like this book, that I want physically to own it. So we're following Nira and Dikri, who are they're strangers at the beginning. So Nira is using a fake name because she's actually the princess of this kingdom that this rebellion is rebelling against. But she left because her dad basically kept her locked away and she didn't want to live like that anymore. So she fled, and the kingdom doesn't know that she's missing. They just know that they never see their princess. So she's been hiding out on the streets, and she's captured by these guards who also capture Dikri's sister. So when he and his friend go to rescue his sister, they find Nira, and his sister's like, you can't leave her. Like, she's a rebellion tattoo. You can't leave her. They take her back with them, and immediately Nira and Dikri are just at each other's throats. They can't stand each other. He doesn't understand why they had to save her. She hates him because he's being a jerk. Anyway, the point is, they take her back to their private hideout thing, and she ends up training with the soldiers for the rebellion and developing skill sets and stuff, and they're trying to figure out exactly who she is, because she does tell them that she grew up in the castle, but that's it. That's all she'll tell them. She basically lets them imply that it was she was a maid's daughter or something. There's a cliffhanger at the end, because this is going to be a series that I saw coming, but it was still just kind of the way she did it, the way Holly Renee wrote it, I was like, ugh. So I am excited for, I think it's called The Hunted Heiress, and it comes out in July, I want to say. I think it comes out this summer. So I would definitely be picking that book up. But this was a pleasant surprise. I had heard people liked it, but I did not expect to like it as much as I did. I gave it a 4.5, 3 spice rating. Definitely recommend, if you can find it, if you have Kindle Unlimited, read it there and then try to find it physically if you want it, but highly, highly recommend this book. Then I read Deliver Me by Ashley Hawthorne. This was a book out of my romance reveal box. This follows Gabriel and Mia. Gabriel is a convict in jail for murder, and Mia is this preacher's daughter from this small town, and they end up becoming pen pals through a church program that Mia's friend is running, and through that pen pal system, they develop feelings for each other. And it eventually ends up with Mia trying to get Gabriel out of jail so that they can start their life together. So that's pretty much the entire premise that you need to know, and it's a romance novel, so I'll let you draw your conclusions on what happened. But the end does get a little bit deeper into like dealing with the psychological sides of things and admitting guilt where there's guilt and when you need help and why and all of that kind of stuff and the signs that you need the help. A very weird premise. I really didn't think I was going to like this. I didn't love it. It was still kind of weird for me. All of the religious references and stuff, wasn't a huge fan of that. But overall, the story was well written. I ended up giving it a 3. Very middle line for me. I would recommend it, but it's probably not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It was a 2 spice rating, so not too spicy, surprising for a book out of this box. Like, there was spice, but it was like very compact towards the end. Overall, interesting read. Definitely different from anything I've picked up. Would I have bought this for myself, even now knowing what it's about? Probably not, but I don't regret reading it. Then I read M.L. Rio's If We Were Villains, again on my Kindle, and this book took me by surprise with how much I enjoyed it. There were a lot of Shakespeare references that I didn't understand, but besides that, the storyline, I was like skimming the Shakespeare quotes towards the middle to end of the book. The overall premise of the book is there's these group of 7 friends that go to this like prestigious art academy, I guess. There's like a bunch of different types of art and creative majors here. It's like a college, but they're the only 7 that have made it to the 4th and final year. So they live in this castle together, and they've spent obviously like the past 4 years of their lives really in close quarters with each other and spending a lot of time together. So they've developed relationships amongst themselves, and they're basically performing all of these Shakespeare plays. And because of that, they talk to each other in like scenes from Shakespeare, which was kind of weird. Not my favorite part of the book. But what happens is there's a murder amongst these 7 friends, and they have to convince the police that it's been an accident. And not everybody really knows what happens, as you find out. Like, obviously one of them did kill him, but you don't find out about that until the end. The interesting part of this was it was going like back and forth between our main character, Oliver, and the cop detective that was part of the case. And so present time versus like actual time. Most of the time was spent in like the time that the incident happened. There were 5 acts, I think, and the prologue to each act was present time, and then the rest of the scenes in the act were all from the times they were at school. So that was an interesting part, I think. I know that's not like the biggest synopsis, but it kept me very entertained. It kept me wanting to pick up the book to figure out what happened, because you have no clue while you're reading it. I mean, you kind of have a clue, but you don't completely understand what happened and why and all of that until the end. So I think that's why maybe I just didn't see it coming. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. A little bit of spice, just like a 1. And then the final book I read was Second Chance Vacation by Nicole Ryan, also a book out of my romance reveal box. And the premise of this book is that we follow Genevieve and Jackson, who were, I don't want to say high school sweethearts. They dated the summer before he went to college, and she was about to start her senior year because they were like a year different. And she's his sister's best friend. And then at the end of the summer, like, he wanted to continue the relationship, and she broke up with him for apparently no reason whatsoever. And then when they are adults now, so it's, I don't know how many years later, be like about 10 years later, they are put together on this vacation because they have a mutual friend, like her best friend and his best friend are dating, and they don't know that the other, because he wasn't living in this city that they were living in until now. So these 2 friends want to go to Saint-Tropez together, and they want to bring their friends with them, and it's a setup, but they don't know that these 2 knew each other until they get to the plane, and chaos. The whole trip, it's basically like a second chance for them to be together. She just wants to be physical. He wants a relationship. It just kind of goes from there. Again, it's a romance. They're pretty predictable on how it's going to end. However, some of my pet peeves with this book. She had no reason whatsoever, in my opinion, to be as adverse to a relationship as she was. Like, the reasoning they gave behind it, I was like, that's stupid. There was no like deep psychological reasoning in my mind why she was just like, no, I can't be in love. I don't understand what her issue was. The other problem I had was the beginning. I was very confused because her name's Genevieve and her friends call her Jen. But when Jackson's talking about this girl from his past, he's calling her Vivi. So for the first 2 chapters, I was like, is this the same person? I'm so confused. It is the same person. So the whole time they're going back and forth on her name. She has like 3 or 4 names in this book. So that was kind of unnecessary in my opinion. it is what it is. I think it was supposed to be so that he didn't know that it was actually her because they were calling her Jen. I'm like, you just call her Genevieve, and there's millions of Genevieves in the world. It doesn't matter, but I digress. I gave this a 3.25 because I did enjoy the story. I did like the characters other than her weird aversion to love, and he seemed like he wasn't going to grow a backbone, but I think he eventually did, in my opinion. He grew a backbone, so he kind of redeemed himself. But overall, it was a cute story. It was a really quick read, so it was nice to kind of end my vacation on a very quick read. So I did enjoy that part of it. Okay, everyone, so that closes out this vlog. Stay tuned for my next one, which I'm very excited about. And also, I, as you can tell, read a lot of Kindle Unlimited books in this vlog because I did buy a lot of books on vacation. April was the first month of the year that I was allowing myself to purchase books because I had so many other ones to get through, and I went a little crazy before vacation and on vacation. So at this time, this book haul video should be out already, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But I got a lot of books this month. And thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Be sure to like and subscribe if you liked this video, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.